Hi, Cons. Welcome back to episode 4 of After Hours. I'm going to talk about journaling today because journaling has journaling has hold on. Journaling has completely changed my life. It used to be something that I did like every once in a while, and now it's a part of my everyday routine. And it has completely changed the way that I think about any situation or interact with anyone or it's changed like literally every aspect of myself, genuinely. um and a lot of people, when you think of journaling, they just think of like writing down your thoughts, but it really is so much more than that. There's so many things that you can journal about. There's really no limits on what you can journal about, and I've journaled about like everything under the sun, and I'm still looking for more journaling methods. So if you have any journaling methods that I should try every journaling method that I possibly can. But before we get into the episode, I would really appreciate if you subscribe so that you can have more episodes like this and more vlogs. I have a really exciting one coming next week. So yeah, sorry about the noise in the background. It's gone now. So when you think, wait, I already said that. Okay. I have come to so many like realizations about myself through journaling because it just makes you more aware of like your thoughts, the way that you go about situations, the way that you think, the way that you interact with any situation. And it's also just healed so many parts of myself and has improved my mental health so much. I owe a lot of my current mental state to journaling, and it also can, not only does it improve your mental health and give you more clarity, but it can also improve your verbal communication because when you write thoughts, it helps you clarify them and express them and regulate them, and that can also translate over to your speaking. And I do think that my speaking has improved since I've been journaling every single day. It's still a work in progress, but I think it definitely has improved, and it just makes you feel your mind feels so much clearer. It reduces your stress and it gives you a deeper understanding of yourself and your mental health. It also improves your self awareness. I feel like I've just become so much more self aware, and the way that I interact with others and myself has completely changed. I feel like whenever I'm in any situation, I kind of think through like the root of whatever it is. Like, if I feel a certain emotion, I'm like, what is causing me to feel this way? And how can I make myself feel better and regulate myself? And it has really improved my ability to emotionally regulate and has just given me a deeper understanding of myself. As I've said, I feel very like at peace with myself and very, I don't know, like the way that I process things is completely different now. Um, and sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It helps me, yeah, it just helps me get to the root of so many problems. It's helped my problem solving skills and helps me just work through anything. And working through things in a journal is so much more, what's the word, effective than working through things in your own head, because your head makes sorry, your head makes everything feel bigger than it actually is. So when you write it down, you're able to work through it and see that it's actually not as daunting as it feels in your head, because things feel so much worse in your head, like especially when you're anxious about something and then it happens and you're like, "Oh, that literally wasn't even bad." But then when you write it down, you see on paper and you're like, "Oh." You know what I mean? Um and it's also a really good way to track your goals and your progress. It puts things into perspective when you see how much progress you've actually made, because it feels like less progress when you haven't reached a goal yet. But then when you write down the progress, you're like, oh, I've actually made a lot more progress than I thought. And yeah, and also it makes things just feel more possible to you when you write your goals down on paper. And you're more likely to achieve your goals if they're written down. So that's a very good way to track your goals. It can also enhance your creativity and help you work through creative ideas and come up with creative ideas and just come up with ideas in general and really just master your words and the way that you speak and write and work through situations. And when things feel really out of control in your head, putting them on paper regulates them and helps them feel more under control. Journaling just gives you a sense of control in general over your life and over your emotions in the way that you work through them. And like I said, I've also made a lot of progress in my speaking skills. It just helps you explore parts of yourself that you regularly you wouldn't regularly say and work through them. Like I've written down so many things that I would never have even thought about myself, and then I write them down and I'm like, "Oh, I've been dealing with this my whole life." And it just kind of makes everything click to be like, "Oh, the reason that I've acted like this my whole life is because of something that happened in my past." And then you can help yourself work through it in that way. And things just start to really click for you when you have a deep understanding of your own mind and just helps you in every situation, whether it's interacting with people or just anything with your mental health really helps you work through it and helps you realize that anything is really possible for you when you write down your goals and see, oh, that's actually super achievable. So now, I mean, there are so many other benefits to journaling that I can't even articulate to you because it has completely changed my life, and I don't even know how to explain how much it really has. But I'm going to talk about some types of journaling that I've done or that, well, actually, I've done all of these. Number one thing is dream journaling, just writing down all the dreams that you have and then noticing themes and patterns. And sometimes they don't mean anything, but sometimes they do. Like, sometimes your subconscious mind is trying to tell you something that you are not consciously aware of about yourself when you're awake. And if you look into the themes in your dreams, you can see that a lot of times your your mind is trying to tell you something about your life that you need to work through that you don't think about regularly, and that can be really really beneficial in that way. And sometimes it's fun to just like remember the dreams that you have even if they don't mean anything. um, Next thing is stream of consciousness. This is obviously just like writing down all the thoughts that you have, and it just makes your thoughts feel so much less overwhelming, and it helps you work through them, and it improves your conflict resolution skills. My conflict resolution skills have definitely improved since I started journaling because I'm able to, write down my thoughts, work through them, and all of that. Next is shadow work. I talked about this in the last episode, which is basically just like facing the darkest parts of yourself that you would normally avoid and getting to the root of it and working through it in that way. So, for example, if you're a people pleaser, this is the example I used last time. Whatever. You'd be like, what in my past led me to be a people pleaser? And then you just like let go of it and help yourself work through it and forgive yourself and everything. And it I mean, as I said, it has completely changed my life in more ways than I can even explain. Like, I have faced so many parts of myself that I never would have faced otherwise, and found out, just gotten so much deep insight into myself and done so much deep healing. I've healed so many parts of myself, so much trauma, so many things that I never ever would have healed if I didn't journal, and has that's like the number one thing that has like changed the way that I interact with different situations in my mental health and everything, and the way that I regulate myself. And it's helped me be able to know what I need in situations that aren't regulated. Like if I'm stressed out, I'm able to quickly get to the root of it and figure out what I need. Next thing is writing a letter to your future self or as your future self, which is called scripting. And it gives you a clearer vision of like what you want in the future and makes it feel more possible to you. And it can also help you see what your goals are and track them in that way. So that's been really helpful. And it also is very encouraging to write to your future self. Writing to your past self can help you forgive parts of yourself that you never have and become more understanding of that version of yourself and move on from parts of that version of yourself that don't serve you anymore. It's helped me work through things that I didn't forgive myself for and just make peace with that version of myself. And there's an analogy that I like where like that version of you, they can come along for the ride, but they have to sit in the back seat and not make a sound. You know, um, because obviously there's all these limiting beliefs and doubts that your past self has learned that they can't come along. They can't come along. And another thing that journaling has helped me do is just work through all of my limiting beliefs and doubt, which obviously is still a work in progress. That's a very hard thing to unlearn because I learned it for my whole life. But which by the way, I'm gonna go on a rant. What is wrong with people who, when you tell them your dreams as a kid, they're like, "Oh, but what about this? Oh, that's isn't that gonna be hard?" Obviously. Wait, that's not possible, bro. Like that pisses me off so bad. But your doubt is taught to you. I don't know who needs to hear this. Your doubt is taught by people around you, and you can unlearn it. It's very, very hard to unlearn, but it takes a lot of practice of kind of just like dismantling those beliefs and recognizing them as lies and things that are taught to you and being like, shut up. You're not even a real thought. Get out of my head. Get out, get out, get out of my head. Next thing that I've done is I wrote a letter to my body because I have dealt with struggles in that area. Um, and it actually helped my relationship with my body a lot. I feel like that's like something that fluctuates a lot. I feel very comfortable with it right now, which is good, but just letting myself feel safe within my body has helped me a lot and reminding myself of all the things that my body does for me that are like amazing and crazy and just like writing a letter and being like, sorry if I've ever treated you bad, or and thank you for helping me do this, doing that, and just like writing things that you're grateful to your body for because your body is amazing. It does so many amazing things. And then I've also written a letter to nature because I really like to just feel grounded and connected in that way, and just helps me appreciate the things around me more and be like, wow. Next thing is identity work. This is just a short summary of how to do it. If you want to get a more in-depth summary, find it on TikTok, I guess. I don't know. But basically write down a bunch of qualities about your current self. Um Good or bad, or not bad, just things that you don't want to bring with you in the future. You write all those qualities about yourself, like what's your routine, what are your habits, how do you speak, how do you stand, how do you act, how do you blah 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 blah. And then you write down qualities about the highest version of yourself. And if you want, you can give that person an alter ego name. Um, and then you write down all the qualities about them in the same way, their habits, their routine. This is like the version of you that has every single thing that you want, and then you fill in the gaps basically. So you're like, what do I do that that version of myself does, and what do I do that that version of myself doesn't do? And then you get rid of the habits that that version of yourself doesn't do, and you start doing the habits that that version of yourself does. And it's obviously a very hard thing to do because you've learned all these habits that your past self does, but it takes a lot of practice. Everything takes practice, obviously, but um, you know, when you are about to do something, you're like, what would the highest version of myself do right now? And then eventually, all those things become second nature, and then you actually become that version of yourself. And obviously, I'm not perfect. I'm still a work in progress on that. I actually want to do refreshed identity work for 2026 because I just do. Next thing is the 10-10-10 method, which is you write 10 things that you're grateful for, 10 things that you desire, and 10 things that you love about yourself. I did this for like a while. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to do it like every day, and it's amazing. It really has helped me just appreciate every single thing around me more, just puts things into perspective, and then it helps me be clear on my goals, of course, and then be um, like appreciate parts of myself that I normally wouldn't. Like saying things to yourself or writing them down, things that you love about yourself, just helps you have a more like appreciation for yourself and helps you feel safer with like in your own company and in your body and with yourself because obviously you spend the most time with yourself. So it's important that you make sure that that relationship is good. So like I mentioned earlier, goal and progress tracking, but it helps you achieve them if you write them down because then you see them. And it's important to celebrate your progress because sometimes when you haven't achieved a goal yet, you don't focus on how much you've already done. And also you can plan out practical steps of achieving your goals and it makes them seem more achievable. And it may Wait, I literally just said that. Next thing is self-reflection. I feel like I already kind of touched on this, but an example is like I've reflected on how I want to show up to other people and something that I need to admit to myself or something I need to forgive myself for, stuff like that. Just like reflecting on parts of yourself that you normally wouldn't, which is kind of basically just shadow work worded in a different way, but whatever. Next thing is affirmations. I say affirmations to myself every single morning, and it has completely changed my life. I Because when you say the same things over and over, it rewires your brain to believe them, and it's completely changed the way that I see myself and my life. And saying them is obviously important, but writing them down makes them feel more like solidified. And when you see them written down, you're like, true. Like it just makes it feel more, as I said, solidified. Um, Another thing is an idea that I got from my therapist, which is writing down things that I can control and writing down things that I can't control. I recommend that everybody does this, especially if you have anxiety, because I was talking about all the things I was anxious about, and that was like everything. And my therapist was like, write down what you can and what you can't control. And it literally felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was amazing. Like, it really just puts things into perspective and helped me detach from the outcome of things because I'm like, oh, the things that I can control, I can do something about that. The things that I can't control, who cares? I can't. There's not pressure on me to control those things because I can't control them, so I can just let go and don't have to deal with that. Bye. Um, Next thing is writing a feel good list. Writing things that fill your cup. It helps you if you can see what fills your cup. It can be something as simple as making coffee in the morning or making breakfast in the morning, things like that. And you can just really prioritize those things so that you can find little joy in mundane things. And I'm repeating so many things that I said in my um, video that's coming out next week, but it's okay. Like who maybe you need to hear it twice. But I'm reading a book right now called The Ritual Effect, and it's about finding more beauty in like your routine and mundane things. And that's something that I've really been focusing on this past year, and writing down a list of things that fill my cup has really helped me in that way. Next thing that I've done a lot of in journaling is releasing what doesn't serve me, and the way that I do this is also kind of shadow work worded in a different way, but I get clear on the things that don't serve me, and then as I go about my everyday life, I can be more intentional about those things. Like, for example, self doubt. If I want, obviously that doesn't serve me. I want to release it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to forgive that part of myself because it tried to teach me something. I forgive myself for doubting myself in the past, and I am now intentionally moving on to a version of myself who does not doubt herself. And obviously, it's way easier said than done. I can't tell you how many times I've released self doubt or stuff like that, like limiting beliefs, and it has gotten way better over time, but it still comes up every once in a while. So as soon as it comes up, I have to just be like, go away. You're not, that's a lie. That self doubt is a lie. Um, and it's taken a lot of time of just like reminding myself of the truth to get over that self doubt. I'm still not completely over it. Like, it's a very difficult thing to get over when I've learned it for my whole life. But yeah, so honestly, there is way more that I could say about journaling, but that's all that I had written down. There's like everyone needs to do it. Okay, it we would all interact better with each other if we all journaled. I'm serious. But yeah, so that is my take on that. I'm gonna move on to afterthought. Everyone, stay hydrated. All right, moving on. I'm not gonna remind you. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna remind you what this segment is because I don't feel the need to. So let's see what we get this time. I hope it's a good one. Oh my gosh, I can't. Fun fact. I am such a people pleaser. Oh no. That I apologize when someone kicked a door open and it hit me. Okay. Basically, this was when I was at public school, trigger warning. Um, and I was walking into one of the buildings and someone kicked a door open as fast as they could and it hit me in the foot. And I was like, sorry. Looking back, I would never do that now, luckily. Definitely still a people pleaser, but that's something that I'm working on, and that's something that I journal about, something that I have like gotten to the root of, and I'm actively practicing not doing, um, because that's crazy. I would never do that. I would never do that now. And another thing that I wrote down is, I got surgery a long time ago in like November, million years ago, before I even started this YouTube channel. Um, and so I had a cast. Oh, it wasn't like a big deal. I had like a cartilage whatever thing on my hand here. You can see the scar kind of. And so I had a cast on and the nurse was sawing it off my hand and it was like an electric like saw or whatever and it started to saw my actual skin and I just stood there like, "Girl, say something. You're being sawed in half." Not actually. It barely scratched me, but I don't know. Nowadays, I would be like, you're sawing my hand. Anyways, so that was my afterthought for now. These are so like random. I wrote these so long ago, and none of them even really make sense. Every time I read them, I'm like, what was I even doing? But yeah, that is the episode. Thank you so much for listening to me yap about journaling. I hope that this inspired you in some way and let me know if it did. And again, let me know what journaling prompts you've done or that you like because I'm always looking for new journaling methods. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe and follow my TikTok and like the video. And sorry, I keep burping. And come back next week. Okay? Anyways, love you. Bye.